Aryna Sabalenka's rise comes at a cost, as ex-best friend says, barely talks to anyone. In the world of elite sports, the climb to the top is often laced with personal sacrifices, painful transformations, and inevitable distancing from those once considered closest. For Aryna Sabalenka, one of tennis' fiercest competitors and current household names in women's tennis, that journey has seemingly come with an emotional toll. Once known for her fiery passion on the court and boisterous camaraderie off it, Sabalenka now faces whispers of emotional isolation, with a startling statement from a former best friend shaking the image of her meteoric rise. A former confidant of the Belarusian star recently claimed, "She barely talks to anyone anymore." The words weren't meant to discredit her achievements, but instead to highlight the emotional aftermath of intense success. The once tight-knit friendship between Sabalenka and her inner circle seems to have frayed under the weight of global fame, cutthroat competition, and, perhaps, personal redefinition. The ascent of a champion. Aryna Sabalenka's rise in the tennis world has been nothing short of extraordinary. Bursting onto the scene with her aggressive baseline play, powerful serve, and a raw, untamed energy, she quickly drew comparisons to tennis greats. Her journey from a promising junior to a two-time Grand Slam champion was paved with relentless hard work, emotional outbursts, and a determination to leave a legacy. Her powerful ground strokes and explosive game made her a formidable opponent across all surfaces. But behind the Slam titles, WTA trophies, and magazine covers, there existed a quieter narrative, a gradual transformation in her personal life, marked by dwindling friendships and a noticeable change in demeanor. Tennis is not just a game. It is a lifestyle that demands full commitment. It absorbs athletes, molds them into machines of efficiency and resilience, and often leaves little room for emotional vulnerability. In this context, the words of Sabalenka's ex-best friend carry more meaning than mere gossip. They hint at the unseen emotional price of becoming a global sports icon. From besties to strangers. Once inseparable on and off the court, Sabalenka and her former best friend were seen cheering each other on during junior tournaments, sharing meals after tough matches, and enjoying carefree laughs away from the scrutiny of media. Their bond was seemingly unbreakable, forged through shared dreams and endless hours of practice. However, as Sabalenka's career took off, the dynamics began to shift. More sponsors, more travel, more media appearances, and more pressure left less time for personal relationships. Her growing stardom required intense focus and discipline, qualities that sometimes conflict with the emotional availability required to sustain friendships. The former friend, who wished to remain anonymous, painted a picture of a Sabalenka who became increasingly distant. "She's not the same anymore. She used to be open, emotional, always ready to share a joke or a problem. Now, she barely talks to anyone." Those words evoke a haunting familiarity to many stories of fame. For athletes, this emotional withdrawal is often not intentional, but rather a byproduct of constant performance demands, expectations, and the need to shield oneself from the constant scrutiny of public life. Isolation in the spotlight. The paradox of fame is brutal. The more people who know you, the fewer who truly understand you. In Sabalenka's case, that paradox is visible. Despite being constantly surrounded by fans, trainers, media, and sponsors, the claims of her emotional isolation highlight a deeper struggle beneath the surface. Interviews over the years have shown glimpses of this solitude. At times, Sabalenka has hinted at feeling misunderstood, burdened by expectations, and drained by the constant need to perform both on and off the court. She once admitted in a past interview that it was hard to explain how alone the journey could feel, even when stadiums were cheering her name. Athletes like Sabalenka are trained to be mentally tough, to hide emotional wounds, and to remain composed under immense pressure. Yet, their humanity often bleeds through moments of visible frustration, tears after a loss, or, in this case, a noticeable change in social behavior that friends can't ignore. A change in personality or a professional necessity. Critics are quick to attribute such personality changes to fame going to one's head. But in many cases, it's more about survival. High-level tennis demands singular focus. The travel schedule is relentless, sleep is irregular, diets are strict, and the competitive nature of the game allows little time to dwell on emotional needs. In this environment, detachment can become a defense mechanism. Cutting off distractions, even if they come in the form of friendships, might be a calculated choice. For Sabalenka, who has faced on-court meltdowns, battled her emotions, and worked with mental coaches to find balance, the shift in her interpersonal behavior may be part of a broader strategy to maintain control over her mental space. As her former friend recalls, "I think she started shutting people out when she realized she couldn't afford to be emotionally vulnerable anymore. It was like watching her build a wall, brick by brick." The cost of glory. Every story of success has a shadow. For some, it's the physical toll on their bodies. For others, it's the mental exhaustion. In Aryna Sabalenka's case, it seems to be the slow erosion of her personal relationships. The statement "barely talks to anyone" is not just a comment about her social behavior. It's a stark reflection of the loneliness that can accompany excellence. While fans celebrate her triumphs and sports networks replay her powerful serves and celebratory roars, the personal cost of that success often goes unnoticed. It's easy to cheer for a champion. It's harder to understand what she gave up to become one. Some within the tennis community have come to her defense, arguing that distancing oneself is part of the natural evolution of a high-performing athlete. "She's not being cold," one player remarked privately. "She's being focused." There's a difference. Yet, others express concern. A few players and former colleagues note that Sabalenka's bubbly, approachable persona has become rarer. Where once she was known to greet players warmly and share moments of camaraderie in the locker room, now she appears more reserved, more guarded. Rewriting the narrative. Despite the speculation and concern, Sabalenka remains unapologetically driven. Her ambitions on the court are clear: dominate the WTA circuit, add more grand slams to her collection, and cement her name among the greats. That drive may not allow room for emotional openness right now, but it may in the future. For many athletes, there comes a time when the dust settles, when the trophies are won, and the interviews fade. In those moments, some look back with regret over what they lost along the way: friends, moments, laughter, and love. Others make peace with the path they chose, knowing that it was the only way they knew how to chase greatness. It remains to be seen which side of that reflection Sabalenka will fall on. What is undeniable, however, is that she is in the thick of that journey now. She is writing her own story, one of power, resilience, and sacrifice. The criticisms, the concerns, the whispers from ex-friends are just background noise to the louder narrative of her ongoing tennis saga.